Washington, home of the #1 team in the nation, the Gonzaga Bulldogs at 18-1. Welcome the second best team in the West Coast Conference, the 15-3 Santa Clara Broncos. From the McCarthy Athletic Center, we welcome you inside alongside Corey Williams. I'm Eric Rothman. The kids at Gonzaga University are back from winter break. They have filled up the kennel, and they are ready to go as the Zags, Corey, they're 18-1. Fifth time in program history that they're #1 in the nation. A very, very balanced scoring attack as for the nation's leading offense for Coach Mark Few, and they have dominated this series against Santa Clara over the course of the past, well, forever.
Years, Gonzaga's been the top dog in this conference, unattended. It basically built a very program with great talent. They deserve that #1 spot. It'll be interesting to see how Santa Clara, coming in with some good wins, will be able to fare early on in this game.
This is a different Santa Clara team for head coach Herb Sendek in his 4th year. They're 15-3. They're 1 win away from matching the total wins they had all of last season, and they're coming off a monster upset on the road against St. Mary's.
In college basketball, confidence is everything. When you're coming off a win on the road in a tough place like Moraga, try to bring some of that confidence with you here to the kennel.
The 94th meeting between these two teams. Gonzaga has won 42 of the last 44. Some housekeeping of note for the Bulldogs. They will start Martynas Arlauskis, the freshman from Lithuania, his first start of his career. Joel Ayayi will be coming off the bench. They also announced earlier today that freshman Anton Watson will be missing the rest of the season with a left shoulder injury. And as I say that, I noticed that Joel Ayayi is actually in the starting lineup, so that was a late change. So Ayayi is out there, and the first bucket of the game goes to the Zags.
Well, they got 6 or 7 guys in double figures, so kind of plug and play. Doesn't matter who's out there, they all get the same results.
Three-pointer off the mark from the far corner for Jalen Williams. He's a freshman for that Santa Clara squad who has 0 seniors. 4 junior, 4 sophomores, and 5 freshmen for Coach Sendek. Try to feed it inside to Filip Petrushev. Sophomore from Serbia. The leading scorer for this team, 17 points per game. You mentioned 6 scores in double figures on average for this Gonzaga Bulldogs team. They are the only team in the nation that can say that.
They play a lot of guys, a lot of minutes, but most importantly, they share the ball. As you see guys getting double figures all over the place with the Zags.
Another freshman for Santa Clara, that's Jaden Bediako from Canada. Has played internationally for the Canadian squad, starting when he was on the U16 team. Killian Tilly inside.
That's just a mismatch right there. Tilly's so skilled on the block. They got to send a second person, a second defender to help out.
Quick shot on the possession for Santa Clara as Trey Wertz, the sophomore from Charlotte, North Carolina, is a 46% three-point shooter on the season.
You know, we talked about their lineup earlier today. They have an old, young team. They got a bunch of guys that played a lot last year, but overall, still a team full of freshmen and sophomores.
Ayayi gets the roll.
Right now, you see the Zags taking everything to the rim. They haven't shot a jump shot yet. Post moves and penetrations.
Loose ball out of bounds. Gonzaga basketball. Mark Few doing what Mark Few does. His 21st season, 18-1, 586 career victories, and that winning percentage. He is the winningest active coach in college basketball.
What a job he's done over the years transforming this program to elite status in the country. Not only are they winning a lot of games, they've got Final Fours, they're recruiting at a high level.
You talk about double teaming on the low post with Petrushev and Killian Tilly. That's really tough to do.
Right now, the Broncos got to make a decision. They've given up 4 layups, all in the paint. They got to commit to the one-on-one defense.
Good backdoor cut underneath Jalen Williams, the freshman from Arizona. And a whistle because there's blood coming from the nose of Filip Petrushev. He's going to have to take a seat for a moment, and Drew Timme, the freshman from Richardson, Texas, will come in.
Right here, you're going to see where the injury happens. Kind of gets hit in the nose right there. Incidental contact, but going to have to take a seat.
Corey Kispert, a junior, one of the steady forces over the past couple of years, really having a breakout year this year. 14 points per game for the Zags, averaged 8 last year. This is grad transfer Ryan Woolridge, who gets it up top to Timmy, and a good mid-range jumper for the freshman.
And the first jump shot they take comes out of the high-low situation. They were looking to go inside, but the Broncos packed it in and gave up the 18-footer, and he knocked that down.
You mentioned Santa Clara being a young, old team, 0 seniors, but they returned 87% of their scoring from last year. As Jaden Bediako was blocked, recovered with 8 on the shot clock for Keyshawn Justice. Justice back to the basket. Good defense by Woolridge. 2 to shoot now. Even better defense as Kispert gets the kennel moving.
Great defensive timing right there by the big fella. Gets the block, and they stick with it. Force the shot clock violation.
Gonzaga beating teams by an average of 20 points, and you see why. Good defense, although Woolridge turns it over. And Wirtz gives it right back.
Missed opportunity right there for Santa Clara. Had a chance to get out and get some numbers. Instead, get a pair of free throws here for the Zags.
Jalen Williams was in the restricted area, so it will be Corey Kispert at the free throw line. 16 minutes to go in half number 1. Gonzaga up by 3. Three of the top 11 teams in the nation highlight our full day of Saturday hoops on ESPN and the ESPN app. It starts with number 10 Kentucky taking on Arkansas in Fayetteville at 4 Eastern, and then number 3 Duke hosts number 11 Louisville at Cameron Indoor in a matchup of some of the top teams in the ACC. The Blue Devils having won 3 straight against the Cardinals and 5 of 7 over the last 5 years. And you take a look at some of the toga-wearing members of the kennel. Gonzaga on top early. Eric Rothman, Corey Williams here with you in Spokane. You see Mark Few, Corey, we talked to him earlier in the day, and he really talked about the progress of this team, discovering where and when they can be successful, and frankly that he's been unexpected that he was unexpected that this team would be the number 1 offense in the country like they are.
Well, they found a great way to share the basketball, but most importantly, they raise their basketball IQ. They take great shots, they work for each other, and the key to their offense is ball movement. They play offensively based on where the ball needs to be, and then guys make individual great plays after that.
You talk about sharing the basketball. They've got 12 points. 5 players have already scored for the Zags. Jumper for Trey Wirtz comes up short. They've had 3 turnovers in their last 6 possessions, and now Tilly in transition. Long rebound for Wirtz. Santa Clara off to their best start, 15-3 since 1977.
And the most important thing about that mark at 15-3 is you've got a team that's accustomed to winning. Winning is an attitude. You come in here, you're used to winning, you don't back down from anyone, you've got a good positive momentum going. And right now, they've survived the opening minutes of all this energy here in the kennel. They're going to have to match that energy the whole game.
Josip Frankic got his first bucket coming off a 22-point, 10-rebound performance at St. Mary's. Ball knocked out of bounds and will stay with Gonzaga. And we mentioned the injury that the Bulldogs are dealing with their freshman Anton Watson. Santa Clara also an injury. Willie Caruso, a leg injury for the sophomore who's averaging 12 points per game. He is out indefinitely. It's his 4th game missed, so one of the big weapons for Santa Clara out with an injury is Joel Ayayi. Drains the 3 for the Zags. Now a off-the-ball foul going against the Zags. Killian Tilly called. Checking in the first time for the Bulldogs. Number 1, Admon Gilder. Admon Gilder, the grad transfer from Texas A&M, checking into the game for the first time for Gonzaga. Wirtz got bumped, and Timmy came out. The freshman picks up the foul.
Right here, you're seeing a little problem the Zags are having defensively. Now, they're coached to hedge all picks, but their bigs are a little too slow. on that rotation. Wirtz is just too fast. You're going to pick up a lot of easy fouls on bigs if he just continues to attack the basket.
Freshman all-conference player last year was Trey Wirtz. Pick and roll to the inside. DJ Mitchell, the transfer from Wake Forest, and he traveled.
It's a tough call right there. I thought Tilly got away with a bump, knocked him to the floor, forced him to travel, but no call.
David Thompson, the junior, who's a JUCO transfer from Mount San Jacinto Junior College, checking into the game for Santa Clara, as Gonzaga in the midst of a 7-2 run. Under 14 and a half minutes to go here in half number 1. Kispert picked up the dribble, looking for help. He finds Gilder in the corner. Pick and roll. Petrushev with 10 to shoot. Jump hook, not there. They go back to DJ Mitchell on the near side. Mitchell, mid-range jumper, not there. Trying to get Mitchell in some isolation looks, just hasn't worked yet for the Broncos.
And they should continue to do that. He's a very talented player. You can see the range and the ability he has. They think that's a mismatch for him.
Mitchell's averaging 11 points on the year. Killian Tilly, who battled injury all of last year, only playing 15 games. This is his 14th game in the lineup this year for the Zags, averaging 12 points per game, and he puts them up by 8 here in the first. Good rim protection by Petrushev as Frankic tried to go underneath. Gilder in the corner. You bet!
You're witnessing the #1 offense in the country, already 70% from the floor, and they're 66% from downtown right now.
An 11-point lead for the Zags, their biggest so far. Santa Clara takes a timeout. A monster Saturday slate amongst the ESPN family of networks. It starts on ABC with the Clippers and the Pelicans, then college basketball on ESPN, Louisville and Duke. Back to the NBA on ABC at 8:30 Eastern, Lakers and Rockets, and then it's McGregor and the Cowboy on ESPN Plus pay-per-view. Out of the timeout, a turnover as Kispert misses the fast break layup. It will stay with the Zags. And right now, Corey, Gonzaga offensively and defensively has flustered the Broncos.
Nice little piece of coaching right there by Mark Few. He comes out of the timeout in a press, gets the Broncos to cough it up.
5th turnover already on Santa Clara.
You combine those turnovers with the missed layups, and that's the difference in the game right now for the Broncos, as there's an ill-advised foul on the shooter.
Kispert will shoot 3. 76% free throw shooter on the year as DJ Mitchell came out and fouled him. And look at all the stats, Corey, that Gonzaga excels in. Free throw shooting, not one of them. They are a 66% free throw shooting team. That is the worst mark in the Mark Few era.
Well, it's kind of a situation of who's getting fouled. If you're better free throw shooters, don't find ways to get to the bucket. Once again, this is not a team. They play inside out, but they don't have guys that just pound the ball and attack the rim and draw fouls. The fouls they get are usually the big men going for layups. So I think the bigs are shooting the most percentage of the free throws for them.
Well, despite the fact that they're shooting just 66%, they're still getting to the line 10 more times a game than their opponents. So you can make up for a bad percentage with better opportunities, and more opportunities, I should say. Good crossover for Taj Edey, the sophomore. This is the bank shot, and Petrushev the rebound.
Another one of those missed shots right there for Santa Clara. Good penetration. Just a little bit cold to start the beginning of this game.
The IE came up short. Santa Clara cold in general, just 4 of 11 from the floor. What do they need to do to get things going offensively?
Well, right now, there's not a whole lot. They've gotten good looks, but they got to cut down on the turnovers. You're only going to get so many possessions against a team like Gonzaga. You've got to make sure you capitalize on these. You can't be turning the ball over.
1-2-2. Press pickup for the Zags. Trying to put pressure on the ball handlers for Santa Clara, who've already turned it over 5 times. Bediako inside. Petrushev called for the foul. And Corey, you've been a part of, and not only as a broadcaster, as a player at Arizona, a lot of upsets. If you're Santa Clara, you go on the road, you score 12 of the final 16 points in Moraga to come back to beat St. Mary's 66-67. And then you have to go on the road to Gonzaga in the next game. How do you turn your focus and get ready and get prepared?
Well, the recipe for an upset is pretty simple. The first part is you have to survive the first half. You have to come out, match the energy, and hang around. And then you've got to have an individual performance by somebody on your team has to really get it going and score some buckets to kind of match and trade buckets with the top team.
Corey Kispert knocks down another three for the Zags, and right now Santa Clara not following your formula for an upset.
The hardest part is step one, surviving the first half, all the adrenaline, all the energy. You have to find a way to stay in the game, because if you can shorten it to 20 minutes, then anything can happen.
Kispert again. Lips out. Offensive rebound and a putback. Second chance opportunities for the Zags. They're up by 18.
And you see the energy level right now is what has Gonzaga on top. They're just hustling a little bit more.
Out there from the three-point line for DJ Mitchell. Now he tries a mid-range jumper, no, and Jaden Bediako was draped over the back of Drew Timme and called for the foul.
And right now, it's Gonzaga on top, and they're doing work from downtown, raining threes here in the kennel.
Beautiful evening here in Spokane, Washington, as we remind you that our Friday NBA doubleheader tips off at 7 Eastern with the Bulls and 76ers. And we'll take you to Dallas for Luka Doncic and the Mavs hosting Dame Lillard, CJ McCollum, and the Trailblazers. Luka's incredible second season is full of records. 29 points per game is the average. And he's got 10 rebounds per game to go along with it. Those are some Corey Williams, Arizona Wildcat numbers.
You are far too kind, but the truth is, he's got a lot of people talking about comparisons to Larry Bird and the way that he's been doing things out there, and I think I've seen them both. I was a youngin' when Bird was playing, but still I saw them both, and it's not too far off.
I talked about your prowess for the Wildcats. How about Corey Kispert, another Corey?
Yeah.
Leading the way for the Zags with 8 points. Gonzaga 10 of 17 from the field. Santa Clara has gone 1 for their last 10. That's the biggest lead of the game so far for the Zags.
And that's Corey with an E.
That's right.
There's not too many of us out there, so we want to represent.
Kispert at the free throw line. Bediako pulls down the rebound. Last year, these two teams met twice, and Santa Clara lost by a combined 102 points. And although this is a different Santa Clara team in terms of their experience, those players still remain. Joel Ayayi, the turnover and the finish. Quickly the other way, Trey Wirtz, leading scorer for this Santa Clara team.
They got to get Wirtz involved more. He's made a couple of nice moves.
And one, Admon Gilder. Gilder, Corey, is a grad transfer from Texas A&M, and even though he didn't have to sit out a year because of transferring as a graduate, he didn't play nearly all of last year and missed the year with a blood clot. So an opportunity for him with a new program on a bigger stage to get some recognition in his final year of eligibility.
Want to make the most of it. Nice move right there in transition. Set you up with the pump fake, get into the lane, and finish against the big fella.
Josip Brankic missing the three. Good head fake by Gilder. Recovery by Petrushev with under 20 on the shot clock. Very patient Gonzaga team on the offensive end. And the 6'10" freshman puts the ball on the deck and drives to the hole.
You got big problems when the 6'10" big guy takes you from 19 feet away and finishes off the glass. How do you stop that?
Drew Timme now with 4 points. Justice got his own rebound. Even though it went in, it would have counted regardless because of the goaltend after Petrushev got a fingertip on it. So give Justice the bucket on the second effort. Zags have made 4 of their last 5 field goal attempts. A team that averages 88 points per game. Kispert feeding it inside to Petrushev. He got blocked. Bediako stuffed it in his face. The third effort as Petrushev kept with it.
We talk about the energy level, and there you see it all over the glass as there's a reaching foul right there, but the Zags making their presence felt on the paint. Now there's a nice block, but right here somebody's got to come in and pick this up after the block. There's one good effort, but Petrushev stays with it. Third time's a charm, and they are really beating the Broncos up in the paint.
20 points in the paint for the Zags overall. 10 of the 14 points for the Broncos have come inside the paint, but they're shooting just 32% from the floor compared to 58% for the Zags.
Zags are basically in a little layup drill right now. And Santa Clara with the 6 turnovers early, some of them costly. They've led to leak out layups and stuff like that.
Frankic trying to bait Petrushev into a foul, didn't get a whistle. 15 on the shot clock. Williams inside, Bediako sent packing by Killian Tilly.
They are one of the best teams in the country in terms of defensive positioning. Right here, guys get beat, but guys rotate. There's a nice drop, which should be an easy 2. There you see Tilly sliding over to make a play.
11 on the shot clock, they go back to Bediako. Trey works on the mismatch against Petrushev, steps back for a long 2. Woolridge one-on-one. Good find. It's Ayayi in the corner.
Boy, you see the speed of Woolridge as soon as he comes in the game, making it happen.
Quickly the other way. Justice missing underneath. Frankic lost it. And Justice is fouled. And after that 3-pointer by Joel Ayayi, he's got 12 points on 5 of 7 shooting. The Zags in a rout, up 40-14. The family of the Coreys with an E. We've got Corey Kispert, who's got 8 points, 2 rebounds tonight for the Zags. And then, boy, a slimmed down Corey Williams on the right there. My broadcast partner for the Arizona Wildcats. 250-ish, that's today, right?
That's current.
That's not playing weight.
No, not at all. I was about 220 myself. But, you know, that was almost 25 years ago I was playing for the Wildcats. It's crazy, but we both play the same position, same height, same stroke from the outside. Corey with an E. And right now, I've got more points and rebounds on average than him, but I think he's going to have a big night tonight. He's a heck of a player, does a lot for the Zags.
Well, it might be 255-ish after that fettuccine Alfredo you had before the game.
Hey, that's some good room service. you were in on that too now.
I'm always in on the room service. I charged it to your room, actually.
All right.
Deshaun Justice, sophomore from Madison, Wisconsin, over the last 6 games, averaging 15 points per game.
Right now for Santa Clara, they got to get some defensive stops. Try to finish this last 7.5 minutes on a high note, cut into this lead, but you know, they cut down the turnovers and they just need to see the ball go in a few times.
Tilly off the mark on the 3. Santa Clara talking about not seeing the ball go in. They've only made 2 field goals over the last 8 minutes.
It's hard to build morale when guys are missing shots. Sometimes your best defense is a made bucket. They got to take it out, slows the game down, but when they're missing, then you see transition happen. And the Zags are great at transition.
After that miss by Bediako, field goal percentage dips to 25% for the Broncos here in the first half. Zags going for their 32nd straight West Coast Conference regular season victory that would tie a conference record set by Pepperdine back in the early 90s. Pepperdine, if you include the postseason, won 36 games in conference. Crossover by Williams. And you see Santa Clara not only struggling with making shots, Corey, but a lot of really quick possessions.
Yeah, quick shots and poor field goal percentage. That's the recipe for disaster, especially when you're playing a team like Gonzaga. They're going to rotate. They're going to be in the right spots. Guys got to try to find better ways to get open. And right now, it's a lot of one-on-one for the Broncos. But they've got to try something to get this offense going.
Gilbert, crossover. The weak side defense was too late. And one for Admon Gilder. Trey Wirtz called for the foul.
Right there, Wirtz kind of in no man's land. He does a great job of rotating, but at the last second decides to reach in, and you can't do that. He's a freight train. Flexes the muscle. That's an and one.
Another quick shot as Wirtz lets the three go. Got his own rebound. During the 6-minute mark here to go in the first half. Williams no, Tilly the rebound. Santa Clara now 1 for 8 from 3. We got Gilder on the ISO again. This time they go inside to Petrushev. Petrushev averaging 17 points per game this season. The foul on the floor, no bucket. The thing about Petrushev, who has really taken a big stride compared to last year. Didn't get a ton of minutes, only averaged 6 points per game, although he did play in 32 games for the Zags. But as a Wooden Watch List member, as a potential player of the year candidate, 17 points, 8 rebounds, 55% shooting from the floor.
Well, I like his game because he's an old school big man. He doesn't look to throw the ball out. He will if he has to, but when he gets it on the block, he knows what his responsibility is for the team. He tries to find a way to get to the rim and score because his productivity inside will lead to open shots later in the game. And boy, he's a load on that block. They got to bring a double team.
For a team in Gonzaga who lost the likes of Rui Hachimura, Brandon Clark, Zach Norvell, Josh Perkins from a team that won 33 games last year. To be 18-1 and the top offense in the nation is pretty remarkable.
Well, that's a sign of a superior program where they just reload year after year. We talked to Coach Mark Few about that this morning. The long road to where they are now in terms of recruiting, where they are a destination school for a lot of the country's top recruits now. And you talk about the talent that's lost and what they have, it's absolutely remarkable.
And one, as Keyshawn Justice was fouled by Killian Tilly. And if the Broncos are going to have quick possessions, Corey, they need more of that.
They need more of that, and right now, just got to get it under 20. Try to get it in the teens at halftime. That would be a huge win for them from a psychological standpoint because they kind of ran into a buzzsaw these opening minutes against the Zags.
Justice is a second-year player out of Madison, Wisconsin. He made a first start of his career on December 7th and really hasn't looked back. Last 6 games, 15 points per game, 54% from the floor. He's got 6 points on 2 of 4 shooting here in this one. Ryan Woolridge has yet to score for the Zags. Lost it out of bounds, will stay with Gonzaga. Woolridge, a grad transfer from North Texas, set the single season assist record for North Texas, 221. So not a guy that necessarily looks to score as a first option, but is averaging 11 points per game this year for the Zags. Under 5 minutes to go and 7 on the shot clock here in the first half. Gilder, ball fake. Kispert has to let it go. As the shot clock expires, Corey Kispert's second 3 of the game.
When it's your night, it's your night. That's a bailout shot with 1 second on the clock, and he drains it.
Mitchell, met by Drew Timme. Woolridge pops it ahead. Joel Ayayi the flush. Justice was calling for it in the corner. Misses the three. Now Ayayi in transition. Flips it to Timmy, the free throw line. Zags shooting 56% from the floor here in the first half. No surprise. They shoot 50% from the floor as an average on this season. Another missed three.
And you really got to give the Zags credit on the defensive end. They're playing great, contesting everything, limiting the Broncos to one shot per possession.
29-point lead. Woolridge still looking for his first bucket, but no worries if you're the Zags on offense. Ayayi and Kispert have 25 points combined. Saturday, UFC 246 in Las Vegas features Conor McGregor's long-awaited return to the octagon. The Notorious takes on Cowboy Cerrone, who holds the UFC record for most wins and most finishes. That starts at 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific. The main event on pay-per-view. To order the main event in English and or Spanish, go to espnplus.com/PPV. And be sure to download the ESPN app if you're watching on your mobile device. ESPN and ESPN Deportes will have the prelims starting at 8 Eastern and 5 Pacific. Joel Ayayi, 14 points, 6 of 8 shooting. Coach Mark Few, Corey, called him a wizard when he sits down and plays patiently and within himself. He's been a wizard here tonight.
And that's what you see when you look at him, 6 for 8. That means great shot selection. He's an incredible athlete, but he's thinking the game through, and it's coming to him very easy tonight.
Kispert on the elbow, contact, no whistle. Offensive rebound, second chance opportunities yet again for the Zags. Kispert to his left, switches to his right hand. Kispert looking at referee Larry Spalding saying, that's twice. Twice on that same possession I got fouled. No whistle from either Spalding or David Hall or Jim Skipper, the three referees. Williams missing the three, and now it's 1 of 10 from deep for the Broncos.
And that was a good possession. They just can't buy a bucket.
Tip follow off the Kispert miss. Timmy got another offensive rebound. Fans not happy, but their team is up by 29. They're not going to get any whistles if it's a close play. Offensive foul against Santa Clara. Coming up on the E-Trade halftime report with Kevin Connors, Sean Farnham, Dallin Cuff. Oregon good and Oregon bad, the men and the women. Which was which? You'll find out. And also West Coast action. Have a wrap-up of the first half of Gonzaga and Santa Clara, as well as around the Pac-12 and the West Coast Conference. Turnover, miscommunication up top between Ayayi and Drew Timmy. Rare mistake there for the Zags, just 3 turnovers here in the first half.
The Broncos haven't been able to apply any type of defensive pressure to create turnovers because they've given up a lot of interior baskets, and they spent most of this first half taking the ball out of bounds after made buckets. There you see a great deflection in the steal. And here come the Zags in transition. They get the early post up.
Inside, Petrushiev double team. This team is so good when they have a mismatch. Petrushiev draws the double. They swing it around. Everybody touches the basketball, and Woolridge gets his first bucket.
And that's great coaching and great discipline. You're absolutely right. A double team results in a layup when you're the Zags. They work the ball and get it to where it needs to be.
Offensive rebound underneath DJ Mitchell finishes, and that's because not only good coaching, but over the years with Gonzaga having mismatches like that underneath in the West Coast Conference, being the team that has outsized most of their opponents for the past, I don't know, decade, even more. They're used to seeing those things and they know how to work out of it.
Well, right. They've always had size, but we talk about the basketball IQ. Some clubs, you double their big man and it's effective. But with the Zags, they've got a counter for everything they see. And most importantly, they got the personnel. So you want to double a big, fine. We're going to get a layup or we're going to get a wide open three. You want to press us, we'll dump it inside and get jump hooks and layups all night. That balance is why they're the #1 team in the country.
Petrushev to the free throw line. He's got 7 points on the evening. 6 rebounds, leading the team in that category. We go back to it, but you talked about why they're the #1 team in the nation. 6 players averaging 10 points per game or more. They're the only team in the country to do that, and their 7th player averages 9 points per game.
And what's amazing about a situation like that, when guys are scoring double digits every night, there's no personal individual agendas. There's only one agenda, the team agenda, and they all play and move the ball and come out on top. And that's great for chemistry.
Edey lost it going up, turnover on Santa Clara. It's number 9.
I mean, you're a coach for a second. We'll pretend you're a coach.
Okay.
You're scouting Gonzaga. Who are you going to stop?
Well, the problem is, and what we just saw on the play against Petrushev, you can look at the numbers and you can look at the mismatches and say, okay, let's key in on this guy. But the point you just made is valid, is that there is no one guy. You key in on one, somebody else steps up. Killian Tilly, who makes the 3 there, and Corey Kispert, Admon Gilder, Ryan Woolridge, all with years and years of experience. They know how to work themselves out of trouble and find the open man.
Prime example just now. One dribble attracts the double team. It results in a wide open 3.
15 seconds to go in what has been a nightmare first half for Santa Clara. It's Gonzaga up by 33 points. And Gilder adds to it. One more for good measure.
Gonzaga has put on an offensive clinic here in the first half. Ball movement, great defense, great rebounding. They've answered the bell, and they're showing everybody why they're the #1 team in the country.
58-22, the halftime score here in Spokane. And following a short break, we'll join Kevin Connor, Sean Farner, and Dallin Cup for the E-Trade halftime report. Zags rolling the Broncos.
We're destined for greatness.
In my opinion, the best in the conference today.
A Sonic Blockbuster season continues. Number 11 Louisville, number 3 Duke. Saturday at 6 on ESPN.
We expect that Louisville-Duke game to be a little closer than the one we have here in Spokane at the half. It's Gonzaga up 58-22 against Santa Clara. That's Corey Williams. I'm Eric Rothman, happy to be here with you in the kennel. And Corey, doesn't take a PhD to figure out what went right for the Zags in that first half. They played great defense, they were efficient shooting, and they took care of the basketball.
They did all those things, and they started off the game on the right foot. They got the ball inside, created some big matchup problems. At first it was all layups, and then came the string music. They started lighting it up from downtown. The three-point shot opened up as a result of the great inside play, and they shoot the ball so well here at the kennel. But there you see the unselfish play, the court vision. We talk about balance. This is what makes people hard to guard. Dribble handoffs, post guys kicking it out. You got to have a hand up or you're going to have a problem with this Zag team.
51% shooting from the floor for the Zags, 7 of 13 from 3. They only had 3 turnovers. They actually went a stretch of 26 straight possessions without a turnover. And a lot of those quick possessions for Santa Clara led to not only fast break points, you saw the 12-2 fast break disparity, but opening up, spreading the floor, and finding guys like Joel Ayayi, who had 6 for 8, 14 points, and off the bench, Admon Gilder, a perfect 4 for 4 with 12 points.
Well, we had a saying in Arizona defensively, if you need help, you're hurting us. And when we have to rotate, it makes you weaker as a unit, and that's what makes the Zags difficult. They force you to rotate. They have guys that you can't guard in the one-on-one, and there's no defensive alternative. You rotate and you give up a shot.
Not only did Santa Clara shoot a poor percentage from the field, 25 overall, and just 1 of 12 from 3, but they turned the ball over 9 times. They really just seemed rushed on the offensive end. Tried some things on the defensive end, mixing things up. Gonzaga had an answer for everything. 3 players in double-figure scoring in the first half for the Zags. Gilder, Kispert, and Ayayi all with over 10. Deshaun Justice, who attempts the three-pointer and misses badly, was the leading scorer in the first half for Santa Clara with 6 points. Went 2 for 3 from 3, 6 of 8 from the floor in that first half. And one thing, Corey, I wouldn't be surprised if we see as Gonzaga turns it over, is Killian Tilly is out there right now, but for a guy who is still dealing with the lingering issues and the injuries that he's had over the past couple of years, wouldn't be surprised if we don't see much of him here in the second half.
No, you want to play him enough to keep him in shape. One of those players, I hate the phrase load management, but that's what it is when you're coming back from an injury. Make sure he gets a good workout. He'll get the rest and recuperation. You're in the middle of league play, so it's not imperative, especially when you're up big, for him to be logging a lot of minutes.
This is the 20th game for the Zags this season. Tilly has now played in 14 of them. Josip Vrankic, who had 22 points, 10 rebounds against St. Mary's in the road victory just the other night. Only 2 points in that first half for Vrankic, and obviously the numbers speak for themselves. 9 of 37 Santa Clara from the floor in this game, but when you don't get your top scorers involved early, Santa Clara is not a team with the injuries that they have that has the luxury of waiting till somebody comes off the bench to spark a run.
No, you're absolutely right. They've got to have someone create, whether it's a guard in penetration or ball screen or motion offense. They rely on something being created, and right now no one can beat their man one-on-one, so the offense is pretty stagnant.
Steal up top, Jalen Williams knocked it loose, staying with it. It will be Santa Clara basketball, so a couple early turnovers here in the second half for the Zags.
Some good fight out of the Broncos, going after loose balls. They're double teaming the post right away on the pass. They're not waiting for the Zags to figure out who the open man is.
And isn't that what you want to see if you're Herb Sendek down 58-23? Fight in your team.
You're looking for the guys that haven't quit, the guys that haven't give up. It's a long season. There's still a lot of basketball to play, and not a lot of teams in the WCC, if any, will come in here and get a win. So a loss is a loss, but now you're looking at style points. How did we play? Did we fight for the whole game? Because there's a lot of basketball left. And as you saw earlier this week, Santa Clara is a capable team. They went in and got the win at St. Mary's, who a lot of people will feel will be the second-place team in this conference.
Petrushev knocking over Bediako. Bediako tried to sell a charge. Referees were not having it.
He needs to enroll in acting lessons and improve, because no one believed that was a charge.
A rare Santa Clara three-pointer in this game. They're now just 2 for 15 after the Vrankic make. Santa Clara 2 for 15, Zags 7 for 13, all 7 coming in the first half. Kispert threw the ball away. Third turnover here in the second half for the Zags. They only had 3 total in the first half. Vrankic up top. Back-to-back triples for Josip Vrankic.
And these are the same shots they were getting in the first half. They just weren't going in. Little momentum here for the Broncos. They got a long way to go, but that's how you want to come out start second half.
Petrushev bullying his way inside and taking advantage of the freshman Bediako.
He's that rare combination of strength and finesse. He's got the pure muscle, but he knows how to finesse and get his angles off with his layups.
Petrushev up to 12 points. Lay-in by Trey Wirtz.
Trey Wirtz has to turn it up. He's just on cruise control out there. Couple of buckets he's had, really nice. Makes it look like he can do that anytime he wants. They're going to need more of that out of him.
He's got 5 points on 2 of 5 shooting. More than anything, the Broncos need defensive stops, and they need to string them together. Tilly short, Wirtz the rebound. Broncos 15-3 on the season as Wirtz misses the 3. It's their best start since 1977. Their 3 losses into Stanford, Nevada, and the University of San Francisco. And although they're 15-3, Corey, those 3 losses by an average margin of over 20 points.
Wondering who this ball is off right there. You're going to see hits the foot. I don't think they're going to have the advantage of going to the monitors on that one.
Should be Gonzaga basketball, but it is not. Referees stick with the call on the floor. Frankic drew the double team and won. Eight points for Frankic here in the second half. A massive event is right. McGregor versus the Cowboy. Welterweight bout Saturday, UFC 246. Go to ESPNplus.com/PPV and be sure to download the ESPN app if you're watching on your mobile device. Who you got, Corey? You got Notorious or the Cowboy?
Well, you got to bring it when you got one name, you know, like Madonna, Prince, Cher,
Cowboy.
the Cowboy. I'm go with the Cowboy.
You know, I like a guy who is comfortable enough in his I'm going to beat the crap out of you picture to wear a Cowboy hat.
There you go. You're selling the whole image. I'm sold on the Cowboy.
Josip Frankic has 11 points. 9 of those have come here in the second half, make it 10, and it's a 14-4 run. Santa Clara showing some life to start the second half.
A little extended pressure. Right now you're playing for pride. You want to show that the first half was just bad basketball. You want to erase that. Win or not, you want to make a statement here in the second half.
Eric Rothman, Corey Williams here with you in Spokane. 15-3, Santa Clara, second in the West Coast Conference, trailing the #1 team in the nation, the Gonzaga Bulldogs. Killian Tilly was fouled going up. Gonzaga 18-1 overall, 4-0 in conference. Their lone loss to the Michigan Wolverines.
We talked about that this morning. The Zags going out, that non-conference schedule, very tough. Playing a lot of great teams, some big wins, putting them in the situation that they're in. Always one of the more dominant teams in the WCC, but you pair that up with the damage they've done in the non-conference, no doubt about it, one of the top teams in the country.
Wins against Oregon, Washington, your Arizona Wildcats, and North Carolina, among others. Coming off a win against LMU in their last game. They've had some tough tests in the West Coast Conference this year. Pepperdine 75-70 gave them a little run for their money. Portland stuck around. They lost 85-72 to the Zags. But performances like this, 64-36 right now against Santa Clara, is kind of what we've become accustomed to with the Zags in conference play, unless they're playing teams like St. Mary's or BYU.
And it's kind of weird because no one expects the Zags to go undefeated in conference play. The attitude around the country is, okay, they'll eventually lose one. But when you look at this team and how deep they are and how well they play, the question is how? How does this team, when you're 7 deep with quality guys, good ball movement, great guard play, outstanding bigs, it's going to be impossible for all 7 guys to not show up one night.
Well, let's have you answer that question. BYU is next on the docket for the Bulldogs, then Pacific, Santa Clara, San Francisco, LMU. If you're one of those teams, you're watching this game with the Bulldogs firing on all cylinders and routing Santa Clara. How do you prepare? How do you game plan for the Bulldogs?
You've got to try to find some way to disrupt them. They're not going to turn it over on their own. I think you have to have some sort of pressure defense or zone and hope they have an off night shooting. Because man for man, the way that they play under Mark Few, they're going to put you in ball screens and bad situations and post-ups. You're going to rack up a lot of fouls. So if you can play an effective zone and take the air out of the ball, you might be able to squeak out a 60-55 win against this team, but it's going to take a heck of an effort.
And that would also require a team to do what the Broncos have not done, and that is slow the game down, limit the possessions that Gonzaga has.
Yeah, you really have to take your time on offense, use all 30 seconds, and try to just stay with them because they're so prolific at scoring. You can't trade baskets. It can't be a track meet. The Zags will win every time.
Tilly with the rebound. It was knocked out of his hands. Gonzaga basketball after the Drew Timme bucket on the other end. Josip Frankic comes out of the game. Juan Ducasi, freshman from Montevideo, Uruguay, checking into the game for the first time. Of course, as you know from geography class, that's the capital city of Uruguay.
I was just impressed. The pronunciation is flawless. You just
How about that?
Hey, that's why you're you. It's a privilege to work with you, sir.
It's a privilege to be privileged. Woolridge to his left got bumped. And he will go to the free throw line. And one of the players that Mark Few was really gushing over when we talked to him earlier today was Ryan Woolridge. And Woolridge only 2 points in this game, but in terms of a steady force at the point guard position, the grad transfer from North Texas has provided that this season for the Zags.
When you talk about bringing speed into the equation, putting him in ball screens or whether it's open court transition, he just wreaks havoc on defenses and creates so many opportunities. But he's also a guy who can look for his own shot and score. We talked about trying to have him to slow him down just a step because sometimes he goes a little too fast, but that's one of those good problems. Not a lot of coaches in college basketball complaining that their guard is too quick.
He's averaging 11 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists on the season. Woolridge got a piece of that block there, shared with Killian Tilly. David Thompson tried to beat the double team to no avail. You see the confidence that Woolridge has handling the basketball. And the court vision as well. Started that play up top, swung it through, and it found its way to Corey Kispert for another Gonzaga 3.
That's Corey with an E.
That's right. Eight for 16, the Zags from 3. Tilly. Got the steal. Tilly the other way. A little floater in the lane. No. Tilly did a good job on that last play, Corey, fronting the low post. Him and Petrushev. Good footwork. European players, guys that have a good style and a good confidence about them down low.
Well, it's a twofold situation. When you teach your bigs how to defend properly, they stay on the court longer. There's no arm wrestling, no grabbing, no shoving. They use their feet, they use their bodies, they stay in good position. And that's another thing that makes the Zags tough. Sound defensive strategy, technique. You got a guy, you can play him 20 minutes or maybe you can play him 30 minutes if he stays out of foul trouble.
Admon Gilder back into the game for the Zags. Killian Tilly takes a seat. See how many minutes he has left in him in this game. 3 on the shot clock. Justice the step back. No. Offensive rebound for Bediako. Shot clock resets to 20 seconds on the offensive rebound. Broken play leads to another three-point attempt. Justice just can't buy one. He is 0 for 4 from 3 in this game.
They're working so hard to get these open shots, and at the other end, the Zags score within 5 seconds. Nice reverse layup right there.
Santa Clara just 3 of 20 from 3. 29% shooting overall. Good defense. Kispert stood his ground, but a whistle. He's surprised it was called on him. Ducasi to the free throw line when we return. 73-38, Zags on top. Corey, a moment ago, we were talking about what Filip Petrushev brings to this Gonzaga team. What have you seen tonight with his 12 points?
You see efficiency. He doesn't force anything. He knows what his job is, gets in the paint, and he converts. He uses his body very well. It's very good to see big men with skills. A lot of times guys want to be stretch 4s and stretch 5s. plays in the paint, makes it easy, keeps it real simple.
Petrusev, 12 points on 5 of 10 shooting. Wouldn't watch midseason top 25 list. You mentioned not really stretching the floor. He doesn't shoot a lot of threes at all. Just 10 attempts this season. Has not taken one here in this game. Just 1 of 10. So his back to the basket post moves, his ability to work out of the pick and roll is really what has made him effective.
He gets his threes, but they're and ones just from being a beast on the block.
Cassie at the free throw line. Kispert leads Gonzaga scorers with 16 points. Joel Ayayi not far behind with 14. Edmond Gilder's got 12, as well as Petrusev. Gilder hands it off to Timmy. Cassie into the lane with the left hand, no. Bediako with the offensive rebound.
Nice move right there, the rebound, the good touch and hands. Bediako with the great finesse. Like to see that out the 7-footer.
15 offensive rebounds for Santa Clara, so despite the lopsided score, something that Mark Few is going to want to talk to his guys about after this game.
You know, he's a great teacher. He's going to find something to coach up out of a game like this, and I definitely know there'll be some offensive rebound footage in the film session tomorrow, because that can't happen for a team at this level to give up that many offensive boards.
Santa Clara, a team that despite the record, 15-3, still a team that lacks senior leadership. 0 seniors on the squad. However, they do return 87% of the scoring that they had last year. 4 of their starters returned, although Willie Caruso is out right now with an injury. But this is a team under Herb Sendek, Corey, that just continues to grow as a unit. We expect all of them to be back next year. And Sendek has really talked to us and others in the media about just how rewarding it has been to watch this team grow as one and really learn from each other, learn from his coaching staff. And it led to that St. Mary's victory on the road a couple nights ago.
Well, you know, I really like Herb Sendek, and I love the way he coaches his teams. He's very thoughtful in times of knowing what players have and trying to get the most out of his guys. He demands a lot, but the main thing is what you pointed to. They got a very young squad. However, their talent is there. So a game like this, you come out, you take your lumps against the #1 team in the country, you go back in the lab and you learn and they get better. And they're with the right coach. I've known Herb Sendek since my high school days. He was recruiting me. I almost ended up going to Kentucky. He's a heck of a recruiter at Kentucky at the time, and known him, obviously covered him when he was a coach at ASU, but just a great all-around coach. And he's got some young talent. They're going to be headed in the right direction. 25
seasons as a head coach. D1 basketball, started at Miami of Ohio, NC State, Arizona State, and then Santa Clara, where he's now in his 4th season. It's been the MAC, the ACC, and the Pac-10 Coach of the Year over the course of his career.
And they don't hand those Coach of the Year plaques out to just anybody. You got to know a few things about the game to bring home a Coach of the Year award. And right now, the challenge is to look at this game, to teach, and then tell the guys, you got to have a short memory, because the season's too long to dwell on a bad loss, as this is shaping up to be a bad loss here at the Kennel. But like I said, there are going to be a lot of teams that come in here and take some lumps. You don't see teams chomping at the bit to schedule a home and home with the Zags.
Ask North Carolina how that worked out this year, coming to Spokane. 10 on the shot clock. 10 minutes to go here in regulation. Trey Wirtz calling for it. 3 to shoot. Nobody stepping in front of Wirtz.
Going to be a bright spot for this Broncos program. Lightning quick guard, can score, can shoot.
We talked about the returning players for the Broncos, but about the returning players as Petrusev will go to the free throw line for the Zags. You know, Tilly's coming off the injury. Kispert, although he played in 36 games last year, only averaged 8 points. They didn't ask a whole lot of him on the offensive end. They had guys like Hachimura and Brandon Clark and Norvell and Perkins that they centered the offense around. Joel Ayayi, he was on the team but only played 5 minutes a game. Petrushev, 6 points per game. So these were guys that were here. They were a part of the team last year, but not in roles where they were asked to carry the load. And they have all stepped up formidably this season for the Zags.
And to be quite honest, for Zag fans, that therein lies the danger. Their enemy is success. A deep tournament run, perhaps another Final Four trip, and you got guys thinking about going to the next level after 1 or 2 years, which has been the case. They've got a number. You and I were touring the facility earlier today. They've got a laundry list of players in the NBA, and the right run at the right time, you may be rebuilding a little quicker than you thought.
Well, they haven't seemed to have an issue with that over the past few years as they have continued to have success. They've had 25 or more wins in every season since 2007. Foul off the ball. It's been a pretty whistle-less basketball game. David Hall, Larry Spalding, Jim Skipper, the 3 referees. It's true, Timmy is going to come out of the game. And here is Martinez Arlauskas, who we were told was going to start the game and make his first start of his career. He did not. He did not even play in the entire first half. And he checks in here with 9:05 to go in the second. Oh, how about that? Admon Gilder, the one-hand block, and then hugs it up ahead to Ayayi for the finish.
And those 2 plays pretty much sum it up in terms of this matchup. It's not about X's and O's. Right now, you're talking about our guys are just a little bit more talented. The one-hand snatch, the outlet, and this isn't even a good shot. This is 1-on-2 in traffic, but you know what? They're rolling at home. That's and 1. And the Zags flexing a little muscle on the Broncos tonight.
Well, not only that, but they're helping their season free throw percentage, which started this game at 66%, the worst percentage as a team since Mark Few took over as head coach. They're 19 of 21 from the free throw line here in this game. Make it 20 of 22.
Guards are getting to the free throw line as opposed to big men.
Williams, he'll go to the free throw line. This is Jordan Williams, one of the 2 freshmen with the last name Williams. No relation. Jordan is from Long Beach, California. Jalen is from Gilbert, Arizona. Take a look at the conference focus, the West Coast Conference. Zags #1 in the nation. St. Mary's, BYU have earned AP votes. You see the men and women player of the week, Midland and Worth. And not only have the Zags produced great pros on the men's level, but on the women's level as well.
Absolutely, a lot of players in the WNBA and internationally, we saw that. Long list of female players. Just great talent here, great atmosphere, something special going on in Spokane, not just snow up here.
Well, that's special too. It was a very winter wonderland type drive over here. I'm glad you were driving me.
Hey, I'm from Illinois. I have experience, and I can tell you, snow is overrated. Why do you think I went to Arizona?
Admon Gilder, second chance points opportunities for the Zags as they continue to crash the boards. The Zags have out-rebounded Santa Clara by 7.
And you know, the mark of a good team is when you can go 7 or 8 or even 9 deep and sustain the same level of play. And that's what the Zags are able to do. Bring in guys off the bench. They still attack the offensive glass. They still defend well. They still shoot it well. And that's the mark of a good team.
They're going to have to get some of these guys like Arlauskis some minutes here in games like this, because down the stretch it will tighten up, and it's already starting to tighten up with the injuries that they're dealing with. Obviously, we talked about before this game, it was announced that Anton Watson, the freshman from right here in Spokane, has been ruled out for the remainder of the season with a left shoulder injury, a shoulder that popped out 4 times against Arizona. So a chronic injury that he's been dealing with throughout the course of this year, and a big loss for them as he's got an opportunity to be a really, really good player in this program. He went to Gonzaga Prep, the high school here in Spokane, as the Zags continue to pour it on. 86-43, under 8 minutes to go here in the second. Our Friday NBA doubleheader tips off at 7 Eastern with the Bulls and the 76ers. Then it's off to Dallas for Luka Doncic and the Mavs hosting Damian Lillard, CJ McCollum and the Trailblazers. That starts at 9:30 Eastern. Speaking of NBA players, as Corey Williams was talking about before the break, how about the Zags in the NBA? Olynyk, Sabonis, Collins, Williams, Goss from a few years ago, and the most recent guys, Clark, Hachimura, and Zach Norvell Jr. getting some time with the Lakers, now with their G League affiliate. And Josh Perkins, also the G League, the Greensboro Swarm. You see the Hall of Honor here at the McCarthy Athletic Center. Guys, Dan Dickow, Rony Turioff, Rui Hachimura.
You bring the talent, you bring the work ethic, and you learn how to play the game. And that's the one thing that hits me when you look at that list of players, all fundamentally sound players that'll probably be in the league for over a decade because they know how to play the game.
We talk about fundamentally sound. How about the OG from Gonzaga, John Stockton?
It doesn't get any more fundamental than that. When you think about his size and his athleticism or lack of athleticism, and the way he could dominate an NBA game just purely off effort and knowledge of the game. Great ball handler, great scorer, great vision, but he wasn't going to jump out of the gym. He wasn't going to cross somebody over, but he just played the game.
Turnover number 9 on the Zags. Inside, Jalen Williams, who started the last 8 games for the Broncos as a freshman. Trying to step up, fill the void of Willie Caruso, who's been out the last 4 games. With the leg injury, he's out indefinitely. Petrushev, the turnaround on the inside, he's up to 18.
Does a great job of gaining position early. When he gets it that deep, it's a wrap. You can't do anything.
Mitchell got bumped off his line. He will shoot 2. DJ Mitchell, the transfer from Wake Forest, who sat out last year, averaging 11 points, 5 rebounds per game for the Broncos. From Clovis, California.
Real solid player. Just hasn't really gotten anything going tonight offensively. They went to him early in some ISOs, some one-on-ones. He couldn't convert, and then the game got away from him.
Really, nobody has gotten offense going for the Broncos in this game. Only 2 players shooting 50% or better from the floor. Frankic 4 of 7, Wirtz 5 of 10. Mitchell just 2 of 8. His teammate Keyshawn Justice 3 of 11. As a team, Santa Clara shooting 32% from the floor, just 13% from 3. Joel Ayayi back in there for the Zags, as well as number 10, Pavel Zakharov, freshman from Russia. It's his first appearance in this ball game. 6'11" forward. In the corner, it's Ayayi. Timmy comes in for the offensive rebound. Ayayi, a little dipsy-do going inside.
The same energy from tip till the end. That's what makes the Zags a tough out. Right there, 2 good shots, an offensive rebound followed up with a layup. They're still bringing that high energy level.
Massey. Oh, that's a tough angle. Got pushed off of his line. Good defense by the freshman Arlauskas. And back the other way. They're going to reward the freshman for making a good defensive stand on the other end.
But you got to dunk that. That's a bounce.
Oh,
That's
no.
a bounce. Little bounce pass. You got to go ahead and hammer
That's
that.
his first bucket of the game. Let him lay it in.
Number 1 team in the country. You got to get the starters off the bench. Look at them. They're relaxing. They're chilling. They want to cheer.
Relax and chill as they're up 92-48. Under 6 minutes to go here in the second half. Gilder, the feed to Arlauskas, the freshman, is on the board. Top 11 teams in the nation highlight our full day of Saturday hoops on ESPN. Number 10, Kentucky takes on Arkansas. That's at 4 Eastern. Arkansas just outside the top 25. And then number 3, Duke hosts number 11, Louisville at Cameron Indoor. Battle of number 3 and number 11 in the country. 6 p.m. Eastern on Saturday at ESPN. Take a look at Gonzaga's international big men, and we've talked about a long history of it here at this institution. Turiaf Sakre, Olynyk, Karnowski from Poland, Sabonis, Lithuania, Rui Hachimura, Japan, now Killian Tilly from France, Petrushev from Serbia, Arlauskas from Lithuania, Zakharov from Russia.
Basketball without borders.
Right.
Great talent, but an announcer's nightmare when it comes to those last names.
I like it.
I know you like it. And I played for a number of years internationally, so I understand how to pronounce their names, know a little bit of some of those languages.
All right.
But basketball, the international, universal language.
Admon Gilder stealing the foul. And should be noted, right before the break, there was a foul called on Admon Gilder. The referees came over to tell us that the timeout on the floor occurred before the foul, so no foul was credited to Gilder. It was Santa Clara basketball before they turned it over. And this is the steal by Gilder coming out of the break.
Well, you teach guys you don't reach from behind. It's a guaranteed foul, but sometimes you just can't resist putting your hand in the cookie jar. Nice little poke and steal. A little playground action right there.
9th steal for the Gonzaga defense in this game as they're coming up nearing 100 points in this game, already over their season average of 88 points per game. Continue to be fantastic from the free throw line, 24 of 26.
I was hanging out in the kennel before the game talking to some of the Zag enthusiasts, and one of the young ladies said, Zags by 100. And I said, do you mean they'll score 100? She said, no, they'll win by 100. Now, we always talk about Mark Few and the lofty expectations on the program, but
Pretty lofty.
That's a little outrageous.
I think they'll settle with 50.
50-point win at home, number 1 team in the country. Strong showing, starters all contributed. They're getting that well-deserved rest. Now you got that second string in there. I'm pretty familiar with this time of the game for a second-string player. You want to play well, show the coaching staff what you can do. You don't want to do anything that's going to show up on the video session tomorrow.
Pavel Zakharov called for the offensive foul.
You know, we're talking about this point of the season into conference play. Most teams have around 20 games under their belt. All coaches are searching for one thing, consistency. And at this point in the season, either you have it or you have a problem. And that's what you see with Gonzaga. They have consistency. They're showing up. They're putting up almost 80 points a night. They're still playing at a high level. But you still have some teams around the country that are searching for rotations, searching for a consistent effort. Some teams that aren't as good as people thought they were going to be. It's kind of anybody in the top 5 can get got at any time, if you've seen in the last couple weeks.
Absolutely.
Where's the consistency? The programs that show up night after night, defend, make the simple plays, those are the programs that'll be in my bracket. Have you started with yours yet?
Oh, absolutely not.
We were with Joe Lunardi a couple of nights ago, and he's got everything already figured out.
I'm sure he does. I just imagine that Joe's house, he's got an accent wall that's just a giant bracket. Maybe in his kitchen or his dining room. Admon Gilder, a well-deserved standing ovation for him as he comes out with his 18 points. But I just imagine there's a portion of his house. I think Joe Lunardi's man cave is just brackets all over the place.
A beautiful mind. The whole wall all sprawled out.
Bracket calculus. Will Graves, the sophomore from Eugene, Oregon, and Matthew Lang, the sophomore from Portland, Oregon, into the game. And Arlauskis and Bediako, the tie-up. And speaking of bracketology, that West region, Zags, undefeated San Diego State, Oregon, Louisville, Duke, West Virginia, Dayton, Maryland in the East, according to Joe Lunardi, although
There'll be some movement
subject to change with
Ducks.
Duke and Oregon.
Ducks got smacked.
Butler, Kansas, Michigan State, Kentucky in the Midwest, Baylor, Auburn suffering their first loss of the season, Florida State and Seton Hall in the South. And we talked about it before the game, but Gonzaga has an interesting opportunity here. If they were to be that #1 seed in the West, they could play their first 2 games in the NCAA tournament here in Spokane, downtown at the Spokane Arena. Technically, Idaho is the host school, so they skirt that rule of not being able to play in your home if you're hosting the region. And they could have a potential back-to-back home games to start the NCAA tournament. All they have to do is win to get there. Up 96-48, under 4 minutes to go here in regulation. It's been a fast start, a fast middle, and now a fast finish for the Gonzaga Bulldogs, up 96-48. Corey, we know Mark Few a little bit. He's a quiet guy. He likes the simple pleasures in life. He likes fly fishing. He likes chilling. But how about earlier this year at their tip-off event in Las Vegas, Nevada at the Motor Speedway, Coach getting behind the wheel of the stock car and going 160 around the track.
The quietness of Mark Few, but inside, he's a NASCAR racer. Great experience right there. A couple turns around the track. Talks about, doesn't look like that's his thing, but he looked pretty comfortable in that car.
Fit the uniform well. I would struggle with the stick shift. I think I'd be in the right lane going 45. Coach could pass me on the inside if he wanted.
I'd be in the stands watching it.
5 on the shot clock and a missed three-pointer for David Thompson. Another missed 3P. They're three-pointer, 3 of 24. Take a look around the West Coast Conference. BYU, a big win on home against San Diego. Pepperdine, winners over LMU, and then Pacific on the road, 10-point victory against Portland.
Boy, Damon Stoudemire has Pacific playing well after inheriting that program under some difficult situations. They got the big home win against the Gales and another win on the road for the Tigers of Pacific.
We talked about it, but there's a lot of teams. Lorenzo Romar, Pepperdine, Portland Pilots hung around with Gonzaga. Obviously, we always know St. Mary's and BYU will be game. A conference that continues to improve outside of their top 2 or 3 teams.
Yeah, that #1 ranking is definitely a target. Every night out, you're going to get people's best shot. But when I was a player, I never understood that. It's like, oh, we get everybody's best shot. And I'm like, but you should be shooting your best shot at the same time. So what's the problem? You know, you bring it every night.
Well, Gonzaga does continue to bring it every night.
And Mark Few was very, very indicative. He really made that point with us earlier this morning about how he was pleased that they do bring it every night.
Zakharov, the block from behind. The crowd going here a little bit. These kids in the kennel, too, they're sticking around despite the 47-point lead.
Come on, man.
It's freezing outside. I wouldn't want to leave either.
Spend all that time getting in these costumes and these outfits these kids have. They got to get their money's worth.
Well, and that's the question I have. We've got some guys and girls in tank tops and short shorts, for especially some guys in some short shorts. They don't bring a change of clothing when they go back out in the snow when this game's over.
You know, they're trying to bring back the jean shorts, or the jorts as they call them. I don't know if I'm with them on that. Now, I see a lot of American flag type of, merchandise being worn. I see some red, white, and blue camo. I've seen some things out of the 70s and 80s, and it looks like they may have raided their parents' closets but they're all coordinated. It's a good look.
All I see is a recipe for pneumonia once they go back outside.
Are we officially the old guys at the game?
You know, you gotta
put a sweater on.
I had a kid, and that was it. I go dad mode. Drew Timme at the free throw line. Timmy's had a nice game, 11 points on 4 of 8 shooting. And we'll remind you of the Saturday slate. You could just start at 3:30 Eastern on your couch and just not move for the rest of the day. Clippers, New Orleans, all you got to do is change the channel. That starts on ABC. Then Louisville, Duke, back to ABC for the Lakers and the Rockets, and then flip over to ESPN Plus pay-per-view for McGregor and Cowboy Cerrone. And the UFC event at 10 Eastern. Lang missing the 3.
And there's no secret in this building. Lang is the crowd favorite. They want to see him score.
Thompson can't do it as Graves comes down for the rebound. Lang, the 6'3" guard from Portland. They try to feed him the ball.
The crowd wanting that 100th point.
They go inside and they get it. Drew Timme. Double-double, 13 and 10 for him. Edia straightaway 3, no. Santa Clara just 3 of 25 from three-point range.
You know they're a team that can shoot it better than this. You just got to have a short memory. Let this game go. Focus on the next one. They won't shoot this poorly ever again the remainder of the season. It's just an off night for the Broncos.
Under a minute to go as Timme gets 2 more. 52-point lead for the Zags. What a dominating performance. And if you go back and you include the 2 games last year, let's say this game ended right now at a 52-point margin. That would mean in the last 3 games, Gonzaga has beat Santa Clara by a combined 154 points.
It's amazing when you think about a lot of coaches trying to get their guys to be consistent and play at a high level, and forget the 102 points. Look at Santa Clara's field goal percentage. Look at their rebounds. Look at their turnovers that have been forced. They played outstanding defense. A lot of people are going to look at this score and say, wow, they scored 102. But what they did on the defensive end of the floor really enabled what they did on the offensive end.
Zakharov got the offensive rebound and the putback, and he screams to the rafters, let's go. He doesn't care if it's the first point or the 104th. Bediako, the turnaround for Santa Clara. And the Zags can dribble out the clock on their 19th victory of the year, the 32nd straight regular season West Coast Conference victory, tying a conference record set back in 1993 by Pepperdine. The dominance continues in conference for Mark Few. They're 5-0 in conference play. Their 3rd straight decimation of Santa Clara.
Leave no doubt as to who the #1 team in the country is. The Bulldogs of Gonzaga, outstanding performance on both ends of the floor. Likely champions or likely favorites in the WCC. They really showed it tonight.
Led by Joel Ayayi with 19 points.
Great overall effort.
Absolutely, and we appreciate everybody joining us. The final 104-54. Gonzaga wins. Around the Horn is up next. For Corey Williams, I'm Eric Rothman saying so long for our entire crew here in Spokane. We will see you next time, everybody.